He didn't get a single scholarship offer outside of Texas. Scouts called him raw, reckless, and a long shot. Even baseball, his other sport, barely paid attention. But within just a few years, that same kid signed the biggest contract in sports history, $500 million. How did a three-star recruit, overlooked and underestimated at every level, become the most feared quarterback in the NFL? This is the unbelievable story of Patrick Mahomes, the NFL's ultimate revenge arc. Patrick Mahomes didn't just slip through the cracks, he got swallowed by them. Despite throwing for over 4,600 yards and 50 touchdowns his senior year of high school, despite rushing for nearly 1,000 more, and despite being named National Male Athlete of the Year, recruiting sites still labeled him a three-star quarterback. Not 5, not 4, just 3. College scouts weren't impressed. To them, Mahomes looked too raw, too unorthodox, too risky. And because of that, not a single D1 program outside the state of Texas offered him a scholarship. He was left choosing between just 3 schools, Texas Tech, Houston, and Rice. Not exactly a bidding war, but while recruiters focused on what he wasn't, Mahomes was already becoming something they'd never seen before, a dual-sport phenom, a kid with a cannon arm and a killer instinct. He didn't complain, he didn't beg for attention, he just committed to Texas Tech and quietly made a promise to himself, they're all gonna regret this, and they would, faster than anyone expected. Before he was breaking NFL records, Patrick Mahomes was doing things on a baseball field that didn't even seem real. By age 10, he was already launching baseballs over 200 feet. In high school, he was the kind of athlete who could drop 19 points a night in basketball, dominate on the football field, and then walk onto the diamond and throw a no-hitter with 16 strikeouts. And this wasn't just local hype. Scouts clocked his fastball in the mid-90s. One of his childhood friends swears that in 10 years of playing together, he only ever saw Mahomes strike out twice. Twice. In a decade, that's not normal. That's not even fair. He was so good that the Detroit Tigers drafted him out of high school, even though they knew he wasn't going to sign, because Mahomes wasn't ready to give up football and he didn't want to be one-dimensional. What no one realized at the time? That baseball was secretly shaping his future as a quarterback. Mahomes later said that playing shortstop taught him how to improvise, throwing on the move across his body with weird angles and crazy accuracy. The kind of throws that look impossible on an NFL field. He'd been doing those since middle school. With a glove on, he wasn't just a quarterback, he was a walking cheat code, and it wouldn't take long for the football world to find out. When Patrick Mahomes first arrived at Texas Tech, he wasn't a starter, he wasn't a star. He was just another freshman backup sitting on the sidelines, waiting for a shot that might never come. And when it finally did, he took over the Big 12 like a wildfire. Midway through his freshman season, the starting quarterback went down with an injury. Mahomes stepped in, and in his very first taste of real action, he didn't just play well, he broke records. In the final game of the season against 5th-ranked Baylor, Mahomes threw for 598 yards and 6 touchdowns, setting a Big 12 freshman record. One start, one jaw-dropping explosion. Suddenly, the backup had become the story, and he didn't slow down. By his sophomore year, Mahomes was leading the entire nation in total offense. He became just the 5th quarterback in FBS history to pass for over 4,000 yards and 30 touchdowns, while also running for 450 yards and 10 more touchdowns. Then in his junior season, he put it all on the line. He quit baseball to focus entirely on football, and the result was an all-out assault on the record books. 5,052 passing yards, 53 total touchdowns. He led the country in nearly every major offensive category, and after just 2.5 seasons, he declared for the NFL draft, finishing 3rd all-time in school history for both yards and touchdowns. He'd proven he could throw every pass, carry a team, and absolutely shred defenses. So when draft day came around, you'd think teams would be fighting to get him, right? They weren't. And that's when things got weird. When the 2017 NFL Draft finally came, Patrick Mahomes had numbers that should have made him a top pick, but somehow doubts still lingered. Analysts called him reckless, too risky, too backyard. His style didn't fit the mold, and NFL teams don't like what they don't understand. He wasn't the first quarterback taken, or even the second. He slipped all the way to 10th overall until the Kansas City Chiefs made a bold move, trading 3 picks just to get him. At the time, the Chiefs already had a stable, winning quarterback in Alex Smith, so using a top 10 pick on a backup, it didn't make sense to most people. In fact, some thought the move was flat out insane. But the Chiefs had seen something no one else was ready to believe. And when Mahomes finally got his chance, in a meaningless Week 17 game against Denver, the world saw it too. Just flashes at first, but they were enough. Then, in the offseason, the Chiefs shocked the league. They traded Alex Smith, cleared the way, and handed the keys to a kid who had started exactly 1 NFL game. What happened next? 5,097 passing yards, 50 touchdowns, NFL MVP, Pro Bowl, first team All-Pro. Mahomes didn't just step into the role, he blew the doors off it. His first year as a starter became one of the greatest seasons by a quarterback in NFL history. He made throws nobody else even attempted, saw the field like he had cheat codes, and brought the Chiefs to the AFC Championship game, their first in 25 years. But just when it looked like the fairy tale was complete, heartbreak hit. In a thrilling overtime loss to the Patriots, Mahomes never even got to touch the ball in OT. The season was over, just like that. Still, the message was clear: Mahomes had arrived. And the next season, he came for everything. Mahomes didn't wait long to prove that 2018 wasn't a fluke. The very next season, he took the Chiefs on a postseason run that would cement his status as the NFL's new icon. But it didn't start like a hero's story. In the divisional round against the Texans, Kansas City fell behind 24-0 at home in the playoffs. Most teams would have folded. Mahomes flipped a switch. He led one of the greatest comebacks in playoff history, throwing 5 touchdowns as the Chiefs scored 41 unanswered points. The final score? 51-31. And the message? Clear. You can bury this team. But if Mahomes is breathing, it's not over. Then came the AFC Championship. Down again early. But Mahomes took over, passed for nearly 300 yards, ran for a touchdown. The Chiefs punched their ticket to the Super Bowl for the first time in 50 years. In Super Bowl 54, they were 10 points down in the fourth quarter. Games slipping away, pressure mounting. Mahomes wasn't having it. He led 3 straight touchdown drives, flipped the script, and walked away with the win. Super Bowl MVP in just his second year as a starter, the youngest quarterback ever to do it. Then came the contract. In 2020, Kansas City signed Mahomes to a 10-year, $477 million extension, with incentives pushing it to over $500 million. The biggest contract in sports history. Not just football, any sport. And that deal came with expectations, pressure, a target on his back. In his first season after the mega deal, Mahomes led the Chiefs to another Super Bowl, this time against Tom Brady and the Buccaneers. It was supposed to be a passing of the torch, but instead, Mahomes got humbled. Behind an injury-ravaged defensive line, he was pressured a Super Bowl record 29 times. He scrambled for his life, made miracle throws that got dropped, and never found the end zone. Final score, 31-9. Brady got his 7th ring. Mahomes got doubts. Was he just a flash in the pan, a product of a great system? For the first time in his career, critics were louder than fans. But what they didn't know was Mahomes wasn't done. He was just getting started. After the Super Bowl beatdown by Brady, the whispers started turning into full-blown narratives. He's not unstoppable anymore. Defenses figured him out. Maybe it was just Tyreek and Kelsey carrying him. And then, the Chiefs traded Tyreek Hill, one of the league's most dangerous weapons, gone. Analysts didn't hold back. Suddenly, Mahomes wasn't a genius improviser anymore. He was a product of speed and scheme. The same voices who once called him a generational talent were now questioning if he'd fall back to earth without his favorite deep threat. To make it worse, his new nemesis was rising. Joe Burrow and the Bengals had beaten Mahomes 3 straight times, including a brutal loss in the AFC Championship. Burrow's calm demeanor and surgical execution were everything Mahomes' chaotic off-platform style wasn't. The Cincinnati mayor even joined in, mocking Mahomes publicly and calling Burrow his father. The media dubbed Arrowhead Stadium Burrowhead. Mahomes didn't say much. He didn't need to, because behind the scenes, he was grinding, not to prove he was still elite, but to show the world that he never needed the hype, the weapons, or the validation. And when the 2022 season kicked off, he made that statement with every throw. 5,250 passing yards, 41 touchdowns, NFL MVP again. He didn't just survive without Tyreek Hill, he got better, more efficient, more dangerous. Mahomes didn't rely on one receiver or a highlight reel deep ball. He used everyone. He dissected defenses like a surgeon and ran the Chiefs like a machine. And yet, the real test was still ahead, because no matter how great his regular season looked, the only thing anyone cared about was what he'd do in January. And that's when everything changed, with a single hit. The 2022 playoffs were supposed to be Patrick Mahomes' redemption tour, but that tour nearly ended before it began. In the divisional round against the Jaguars, Mahomes took a hit that changed everything. 2 defenders collapsed onto him, twisting his leg awkwardly. He stood up barely. His right ankle was wrecked, a high ankle sprain, the kind that sidelines most players for weeks. Mahomes didn't have weeks, he had minutes. He limped off the field furious, slamming his jacket as trainers forced him into the locker room for x-rays. The entire stadium went silent. Kansas City's season was hanging by a thread. But minutes later, like a scene out of a movie, Mahomes jogged back onto the field. Not healthy, not safe, just determined. He played through visible pain, hobbled between snaps, couldn't plant, couldn't scramble. But somehow, he willed the Chiefs to a 27-20 win. And that was just the beginning. Next up, Joe Burrow, the one QB who had Mahomes' number, the man whose team had beaten him 3 straight times. All week, the Bengals talked trash. The Cincinnati mayor joked about being Mahomes' dad. Burrowhead trended across the internet. Mahomes didn't respond. He waited. And in the AFC Championship, on one leg, he played like a man possessed. 326 yards, 2 touchdowns. And in the final minute, with the game tied, Mahomes scrambled for a first down, took a late hit, and gave his team the chance to win it with a field goal. Final score, 23-20. After the game, Mahomes looked straight into the camera and sent a message: "Know your role and shut your mouth, jabroni." That wasn't just a win, it was personal. But one challenge still remained, and it would be the hardest of all. Just when it looked like Mahomes was unstoppable, fate decided to test him. In the 2022 playoffs, during a high-stakes game against the Jaguars, disaster struck. Mahomes got sandwiched between 2 defenders, and in that split second, the entire Chiefs' season seemed to teeter on the edge. His ankle was twisted badly. The replay made fans wince. The stadium held its breath. He hobbled, grimaced, and refused to sit. But the Chiefs' staff made him get an x-ray, and Mahomes, clearly furious, threw his jacket in frustration. Was this it? Was the season over? Not even close. He limped back out like nothing had happened, fighting through what was later confirmed to be a high ankle sprain. It wasn't just about winning a game anymore. It was about heart. Mahomes led the Chiefs to a gritty 27-20 victory, but his next opponent wasn't just another team. It was a personal vendetta, but if people thought he'd be done after that, they were in for a rude awakening. From being ignored by nearly every college to becoming the face of the NFL, Patrick Mahomes didn't just beat the odds, he rewrote them. In a league where talent alone isn't enough, Mahomes brought something more: fire, heart, and the unshakable will to win. He's not just racking up rings or rewriting record books, he's redefining what greatness looks like. Every setback, every doubt, every twisted ankle has only added fuel to the fire. And the scariest part, he's just getting started. So now the question isn't whether Mahomes will be one of the greats, it's whether anyone else will ever catch him.